Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Sports Scene here on WLCS TV. My name's Tim Alcorn. I'm with WEOL Radio. And of course, as you know by now, each and every week here on the program, we like to have somebody from the Lorain City School System talk about sports. And it could be Admiral King or Southview or Lorain High School. Well, this week it certainly is my pleasure to have with us the head basketball coach of the Admirals from Admiral King. Of course, that's Mitch Gillam. Last year, I had the pleasure to work with Mitch on WEOL as he joined us for quite a few ball games as a color commentator. This year he's gone back to Admiral King, so I guess my loss is certainly the gain of all the fans of Admiral King basketball and fans of high school basketball in the Lorain County Lorain County area in general, if I can get it out. Mitch, welcome to Sports Scene. Finally, we're able to get together. It's been a couple of weeks. We've tried putting it together, but let's start off. First of all, I'm sure all the folks in the Lorain area wondering about you and how you're feeling. Are you back up to 100%?
No, I'm not back up to 100% yet, but working at it and getting along good.
Coach, I know the first couple of ball games that you came back, the Midview game and the Sandusky game, you were a little apprehensive and wondering about getting too excited and so forth. Have you gotten over that trepidation? Is it back to just being old hat again, being on the bench, or do you still watch things a little bit?
Oh yeah, it's a situation where, again, just everything I do is just a common sense type of thing, and just no better way to describe it than just use some common sense.
Had to be a neat experience for Mitch and Coach Rossitano, though. Perhaps they were thrown into the fire a little bit earlier than they wanted to be, but certainly gives them experience in guiding the team through a game situation. And as you return to the bench, it gives them a little more insight into suggestions and ideas that they may pass along to you.
That's very true. They've the whole staff, the complete whole staff and the whole entire basketball family at Admiral King responded, I thought, tremendously to being thrown in a situation like that. Spur of the moment thing, boom, it is there, and decisions had to be made, and I wasn't really involved too much in those decision-making processes, other than to let them, since they were working with me, both John and Mitch, to make the decisions as to what would take place, and I thought they both did an excellent job. I always kid my assistants when they were sitting beside me or we'd be in staff meetings. I said, "You guys, will you get in that seat?" I says, "It's easy to sit there and make suggestions, but it's it's another thing to make decisions." So they not only had to make suggestions to each other, but they had to make decisions, and they worked, I think, extremely well with each other. Under the circumstances, because boom, there it was. Tuesday they had to play. When I found out what was wrong with me, and then they had to come back, bang again, and play Friday with no prior preparation or preparing a team, or anything like that. So I think they did an excellent job.
Coach, let's delve into the decision-making process as to what caused you or what prompted you to come back to Admiral King and lead the program once again, as things transpired over the summer. First of all, was the fire still burning all the years? Not really, it wasn't a great deal, only 3, but was the intensity, was the fire still there to get back into coaching? Was it something that you wanted to do?
Well, the decision-making process in the first place, to leave education and try some other endeavor was, brought about by situations that presented themselves at that particular time. So, one has to make a decision. So that decision was made at that particular time, and I felt I still had some years, I still enjoyed coaching, and so I was just I was very content doing what I was doing, and then I got approached by the people to be about coming back and helping to not only coach, but helping to develop a coaching type of atmosphere, and training some young people who they had hired, who they felt were pretty good people and future coaches to be. And so, to make a long story short, I just came back. I don't really look too much about fire or anything like that. I enjoy coaching, so here I am.
Coach, let me ask you this: was the Admiral King job the only job you would have come back to?
I really can't say that. I really don't know. It's a situation where the situation I was in at the restaurant and being here in town with the Admiral King job, we were able to work things out where we could mesh those two together without too much conflict on either end.
Were there any other overtures from the 3 years?
Oh, yes. When I was out, I got some phone calls, about. But again, let's talk about the president. We're here to talk about kids, not about me.
Let's talk about your program. As we tape this show, it's the Friday of the Vermilion ball game, but as the folks watch it at home, it's going to be a big week because you'll get ready for the rematch with Sandusky. But before we get into those ball games, the program seems to be coming along now. The winning streak, I think, is up to 6 or 7 games at this point, and your kids seem to be adapting to you. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that's a pretty true assessment. I feel pretty good about the games that we played early in the year. I thought we played Shaw, first game of the year at Shaw, with a bunch of new material that we had put in, that the kids were nomenclature system, the numbering system, and so forth. We had the whole thing in, but it was by no means polished. And we went into that game, and I thought, in hindsight, that if we'd have done some things like we're doing right now, the possibility of that game being coming out on more of a positive end. But again, they would have had a chance to respond to that. And I thought we played well at Tipton, Indiana when we got beat. They were undefeated and rated, I think, number 16 in the state of Indiana. That's the whole entire state, all teams put together, because they only have one rating in Indiana, one class. And so, we played pretty tight right down the last 28 seconds. It was anybody's ball game 28 seconds ago, and we came up a little short there. And then, of course, thing about I had hit me, and we come back. That's when I thought the assistant coaches and so forth did a pretty good job of putting material in and continue to teach what we had in.
Right.
And they did a real nice job with that. And then we've just built on that ever since. And I think that the kids are more comfortable with me. I'm definitely more comfortable with them. I think they've grown. Every team that I've ever had, I always said this, that, they develop their own personality as the year goes on, and you have to give them a chance to do that. And I think these guys are responding.
Has this team developed its own personality? Do you see that evolving? I see
it evolving. I don't think it's done evolving yet. We're just now starting to get to the finer points of some of the things that we would like to teach.
Right.
And techniques only improve. The overall thing only improves when you improve the, individual techniques, the individual pieces of it. So, we're working every day on the fundamentals and the techniques, and so the whole picture looks a little bit better, and it's starting to improve. The decision-making process is starting to improve. It's situational basketball a lot of times. How do you play when you're 5 points down? How do you play when you're 15 points up? You can't play the same way all the time, and that's a thing that we have not made good choices on a few times this year, and as a result, maybe lost a game that we shouldn't have lost, probably, I feel, and maybe made some games closer that shouldn't have been as close. But again, you have to give your opponents credit.
Right.
They played hard and got back into games that they got back in on us. So.
Coach, we had the Sandusky ball game on WEOL. In fact, I know we've got some tape of that game to show the fans as we talk here. I thought that may have been a turning point for your season, because obviously this was a team that hadn't lost an Erie Shore Conference basketball game since 1990, I believe, was the last time Coach Schlesman's club had dropped one. And, they went toe-to-toe with you over at the Shot Palace, and that, your kids were able to withstand the pressure and find a way to win that basketball game. What was that a turning point?
Well, you know, if we were playing like we were earlier in the year, that game would have probably ended up in, you know, an unhappy moment for us.
Right.
But we were able to do some of those things that I talked about, play some situational basketball, and make some smart decisions down the stretch. And again, you know, John has done an excellent job up there of putting a program together. And you know, when I was here before, you know, it was just kind of like the opposite way around, you know. But it was kind of a unique beating a team that's kind of like dominated the conference. And you know, since I've been out of it, and he's done a real nice job up there promoting the game of basketball in Sandusky. And it was a big win for the kids and for the school from that standpoint, because they had not experienced, you know, beating Sandusky.
Right.
In fact, I think that's the first time they beat Sandusky in the last 3 years.
Mitch, in working with you last year, and also talking to other coaches in the Erie Shore Conference, there seems to be the belief that John has patterned the program at Sandusky the way you built things at Admiral King. Do you see that? I guess that's sort of flattering when you look at that and say he's trying to do it the way I did it.
Well, then I'm going to say the same thing, that I try to do it the way other people did it, you know. So it's you know, it's a thing that you need to do. You have to evaluate your situation and try to do some of the things that you think will work in your situation. I came to Admiral King and saw the kind of athlete that we got year in, year out, and instead of changing every year, I just tried to go out and adapt some philosophies about the game, so to meet the kind of talent that I was predominantly going to get, you know, year in, year out, and put that in place. And then just went out and did it's hard work. Just went out and did a good job of getting the young kids at a young age, bringing them into the program, and working with them in summer camps and so forth, and just promoted the game of basketball and brought in the Christmas tournament. And John, he's kind of like done that too. So not only myself was, you know, put the program together when I was here before like that, but there's been other people around the state of Ohio, the Barbertons, the Kent McKinleys, you
Right.
know, they've all done it. And
I want to ask you about the fact that you developed the program earlier where, as you coined it yourself, you never were in a rebuilding situation, you were always in a reloading situation. Why is it that you were able to sustain that? I mean, I'm sure you could do an hour-long lecture on that, but what is it that makes a program like a Barberton, a Canton McKinley, an Admiral King get to the point where they have the continuous success rather than the peaks and valleys?
well, I think if you look at any program in the state of Ohio that's successful, you know, over a period of time, you're going to see some, you know, some pretty much consistencies to it. And one's going to be a coaching staff, and I've been very fortunate to be blessed with the guys who are eager to learn the game, or guys who were eager to make advancements in the game. So I always had people around me who were willing to put the time in and the effort in. You know, the junior high people and that worked and supplied us with the athletes. And then we just tried to create an environment where we would afford them the opportunity to develop to the fullest of their ability if they want to put forth the effort. And we just went out and, you know, through the help of booster club members and whatnot, all, you know, provided you know, the program with the necessary equipment and teaching aids and the whole gamut.
Right.
You know, to try to, when a person come in there as a ninth grader and he wanted to play, we would provide an environment for him to develop. And you know, one of the ones that was probably a bigger surprise to me as any of them was Harold Walton when he came in. I knew the Walton family because I had two brothers play for me, and I knew that you know, they developed later on. You know, Harold came in like about a 5'5" freshman, and probably if we knew nothing about him, may have gotten cut. And we kept him, and he grew a few inches between his freshman and sophomore year, and lo and behold, at the end of his sophomore year, he made some major contributions to the team that went to the state. So
A few free throws down at Kent, I remember,
right.
against St. Joe's.
And so anyway, you know, there was a situation where a young man came in and he left Admiral King at about 6'1", with some pretty good skill, and went on to play at Kent. And so I think that's the if I had to say anything, you know, just to provide an environment for him to grow in and show him some encouragement. And
You mentioned earlier, let's talk about the present. Let's talk about some of the guys on the basketball team this year. Obviously, everybody knows about Gladden and Burris. They've been with the program for a long time. They seem to have stepped up their game a little bit, but you're bringing some younger guys along as well. Talk a little bit about a few of the players that have really developed as the years moved along for Admiral King.
Well, I think the two that you just mentioned, have Byron has, I think, improved his game considerably from a decision-making process. It's one thing to, just run up and down the floor and shoot the basketball. It's another thing to be able to make decisions in a basketball game regarding, the time, the clock, the whole gamut of the game and the decision-making process. He's definitely improved his ball skills. He's improved his perimeter shooting, and I think the main thing he's improved is he's lost about 15 pounds, 10 anyway, and he's improved his athleticism and his ability to jump and move, and he's gotten quicker feet. We spent a lot of time on agility drills. And Jamal Burris has come around and is playing harder, and he will admit that he's playing harder than he had in the past, and he's also being a future point guard if he chooses to continue his career. Again, it's that decision-making process. That plays a big part in how much you get to play,
Right.
Not only at this level but on down the road. So those two guys have put in a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, and their senior leadership has been appreciated by me. William Beard is another one who has, I think, probably made as many strides as anybody. Didn't get to play too much last year. Came on strong and is an outstanding rebounder for us. And when he does his thing correctly on offense, he gets points on the board. So he's definitely improved. And William's a very bright kid, and he's been a pleasure to work with. Bobby Williams, a point guard, is another one who's he and I mentioned after the Leary game are kind of like getting on the same wavelength. You kind of like got to be thinking alike as a head coach about what he wants, and in certain situations. And he has definitely improved his overall aspect, and he can score points. But the thing about it is, if somebody wants to take away your game offensively, they can, but you got to find the other source that's open. So he's doing a much better job of that. And Kawan Howard, the junior, is the other starter who starts for us, and he has made major contributions. He's improved his overall enthusiasm for the game and is doing quite well for us. Another senior, Darius Morning, I call him Mr. Quick. He's starting to get more offensive-minded, and he's done an excellent job for us. And then ninth grader that we've had to use this year, you're getting pretty old when I coached his father. So Doug played for me my first year here and did an excellent job, was an outstanding athlete. And young Doug is also an excellent prospect. He's made major improvements, I think, from the beginning of the year until right now, and he's had some great games for us. And he's done some things as a ninth grader that has definitely helped us. He has some big games for us, and so we're looking for some great things out of him.
Mitch, I remember talking to you during the summer, right after the announcement was made you were coming back, and you said, I'd rather have this team go 10-10 and do it my way than just roll the ball out there and have them win 14, 15, 16 games and not do the things that I want them to do. Are they doing things the way you want them to be done? I mean, is the progress being made that you had anticipated?
Well, I don't know about my way or but I think there's a right way to do things, and I don't care whether it's my way or your way.
I paraphrase.
Yeah, I know. but it's a thing that you walk away from a game and you get a win sometimes with not a very good taste in your mouth, especially if something that doesn't go properly on a court. It just takes away from the thrill of the win. I mean, the effort. The thing it should be uppermost, I think, when you go play is you should go out there and give it everything you got, leave the floor exhausted, and don't care what, you care what the score is, because if you do things the right way, the score will take care of itself. So I think that, there were some things that I was told by the administration that they wanted corrected, And I felt that there were the same things that I thought, I wanted as a coach. And so it took us a while to get that point across. But, I think as a result, my feelings, personal feelings, I think the players now are better people. And as a result of that, they're better basketball players.
I know you don't make predictions. I'm not going to ask you to. But does this team have the potential to go a ways come tournament time?
That is a thing like, that I don't really make predictions about, even this coming game. I know how I feel, when we go play someone. And I think that through our scrimmage schedule and the people we played so far, in fact, we played the #1 team in the state of Ohio. We played the number whatever, 2 team, 5 team, whatever, and we got Cleveland Heights coming in. And we haven't played anybody in either a scrimmage or a game that we've been able to stay in a game with them. So if we continue to improve and we continue to do the necessary things to make ourselves, quote, better people, then we're going to be able to be a hard team to beat. So again, how far that takes us, right. Shooting the basketball, quirks of fate, things of that nature, a lot of things play into an outcome of a basketball game. But I think if we continue to improve, we can play with most anybody. Has
the conference pretty much gone the way you thought it would now that we've gone through about half of the conference schedule?
Yes, I think it, from just my following the game, doing some games with you last year and just trying to keep up on a conference and asking questions, and it's probably the thing that I feel most out and, removed from is the fact that, every year come back, you always knew the talent of the teams, that was there a year before, they may get a move in or something like that. And now it's hard for me to even focus, names with faces and bodies and moves and things of that nature, whereas it was second nature before. So just from, the people I saw play last year with, following the games, doing the games with you rather, and talking to assistant coaches and so forth, I think it pretty much has fallen in line with what everybody talked about before the season began.
I want to ask you a couple of questions. As I was preparing to do this interview, I was trying to think of something that you'd never been asked before, because you've been in coaching for so long and you've done a lot of interviews. Were there certain coaching matchups that you really enjoyed? I guess what brought the question to mind was just a few minutes before we rolled the tape here, I had you sign a ball that a couple other coaches in the area had signed. And were there matchups that when you walked out into that floor, you said, this is a real chess match between me and the other guy?
Yeah, I just think that's, that just goes with the territory. I feel, like certain kids feel good about playing against other kids, and whenever you find someone who works at the game and has an outstanding program and, does things the right way, it's just like when we played Mansfield Madison, they come in and I was scouting them down there, and I said to my assistant when I was scouting them, I said, I says, that team right there can give us a hard time. And it's just simply because of the system.
Right.
Denny works at the game, and, his system was sound. When he came up and played us, it was just a matter of we just had better talent than he did. And it wasn't a fact that his program is, he's not doing the job. It's just, our talent was better. So, yes, to answer your question, it always was, good to go up against a certain player who had a lot of, like the Tregsleys and so forth, we were able to pull that win off. And there was a definite adrenaline rush, when you got against certain people.
I had a fan over in Elyria tell me once that the fun of watching Admiral King Elyria play years and years ago actually wasn't so much the game as it was the coaching matchup between you and Mike Riley. Was that one that you really enjoyed?
That was one because Mike and I came in together, and I never attended the clinic anywhere in the country that I didn't see Mike Riley there. I mean, he was there working at the game very hard, and some things unfold in a game where you can see his strategy work against yours and your strategy work against his, and everybody's always trying. It was just, that was a fun part of it. That's a fun part of coaching I enjoy. So I did have some pretty good matchups with Mike Riley.
Here's a question. I'm trying to think of one, like I said, that you've never been asked before. I don't know. I'll ask you this. And maybe you won't come back on my show after I ask you this one. Have you ever walked out of a game? I just thought of this just now. Have you ever walked out of a game? Maybe you won't admit it to me, but where you thought, that guy outcoached me?
Oh yeah, it's just there's.
I mean, because right. Not to blow your horn, but you're considered, one of the premier, one of the best in the state. I mean,
there's a lot of good coaches around. I don't. In fact, when I first started coaching, I don't think I could say that because there were some people who had jobs that, just got them because nobody else wanted them or whatever. But the game's evolved so much, and there's so many books written about it now, videotapes, clinics, you name it. It's everybody knows X's and O's now. So I don't know of too many what I would quote or however you want to label it, bad coaches. I think, there's all good coaches out there. And it's always, when you say out-coached, from the buzzer to buzzer, and you get outplayed or whatever, it's what the other team has done. A little subtlety of they've done to their game, and come in and he's communicated that to his players, and his players take it out on the floor and execute it. Then you could walk in and say, hey, that guy did a heck of a job getting his team ready for us, and we just weren't able to handle it. And I don't think that's any saying anything less about me, or if we do that to them, saying anything less about them. It's more of a surprise move, maybe, that it was a good strategy move on his part, and he caught you without making the proper preparations, and so you just file that away. And next time you go to play, that it was always fun for me to get ready against coaches, not so much against teams, because basically year in, year out, coaches do certain things certain ways. They may make some changes for individual athletes they get, but their personalities don't change too much.
So, but you're not going to tell us who outcoached you?
No. Probably everybody that I played against at one time or another.
So anyway, we've only got a couple of minutes left. You talked about the present. Things are going real well. Let me try to get you to maybe comment on one more thing before we go.
What's that? Open for criticism day.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
How about the future? You plan on staying for a while? I mean, is this a? I mean, not to give me a year commitment, but something that.
Well, it's kind of hard to. That's kind of hard to decide. Most everybody makes decisions based on what's best for them and their families, and at this particular time, we're just trying to stay organized, focused, and get through this year. I am making plans, for next year's schedule, and we're trying to put together a Christmas tournament again. We're looking for support and things of that nature. We're out trying to hustle that up again, trying to get some of those things we had in place before. We're trying to get back in place. So we are working not only at the present, but into the future, and working with Mr. Love on trying to get some of that stuff reinstituted and redeveloped. So from that aspect, I guess I don't know.
You'll be here. We'll have you on next year again. Mitch, a real pleasure to be able to talk with you. Good to see you in good health, and as I mentioned during the course of our broadcast on EOL, certainly a real pleasure to see you roaming the sidelines again for Admiral King. Stop back and visit us again.
Okay, Tim. Thanks very much.
Always my pleasure. And again, it certainly is a pleasure to have Mitch Gillam back on the sidelines at Admiral King High School. If you haven't had a chance to go out and watch Admiral King play basketball this year, please do so. A real entertaining product over at the Shot Palace, and they're right in the hunt for the Erie Shore Conference Championship, so a lot of exciting basketball to come over at Admiral King. Again, thanks to Mitch Gillam for dropping by and paying us a visit here on Sports Scene. I'm Tim Alcorn. Be with us again next week, and so long, everybody.
In Lorraine, this is WLCS TV6.